Welcome to Breathe In, Scream Out, a podcast for feeling it all, one breath and scream at a time. I'm Katie Healy, your guide through this sacred mess called life. Here in this podcast, we'll feel everything. We'll cry, we'll laugh, we'll scream, and maybe scream again. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to Breathe In, Scream Out. I'm your host, Katie Healy, and I am so excited to share this episode with you. Thanks for tuning in. This is a solo episode all about Leo season, the Leo new moon, the Aquarius full moon. We'll get into all of those energies, as well as some bigger astrology that's affecting us all, some retrogrades. Ooh, spooky. I know. I'm going to bust some myths about those and why they're not something to be feared. But before we do any of that, we'll start how we always do, with me answering the question I asked my guest. What am I screaming about? Now, my answer, I promise, is directly tied to Leo Aquarius energy in both the ways, the lightness, the darkness. And this is something I have said many times. I will die on this hill. But there is an epidemic of nonchalantness going around in every aspect of life. Somewhere along the line, I blame the patriarchy, not because I blame it for most things, but in general, this idea that caring less made you cool, or that the less you can show you care about someone or something, the cooler you are. Now, I've got news for you. If you think you're cool, you're not. The people who think they're cool are not cool. This idea that caring less or not caring about people or acting like you're above others makes you cool or you have power. And you know, there's a difference between healthy detachment and not caring, lack of empathy, having a God complex. And I will, again, die on the hill that being chalant is the way to go. I don't have a nonchalant bone in my body. And I don't know when we decided that caring less made you better or was a better way to be. And the only thing I find lamer than being nonchalant in any area of your life is grown men riding around on electric scooters. Maybe you think those two don't tie in together, and maybe they don't, I don't know. But in my brain, when I think in the ranking of lamest, second lamest, that's how it goes. And maybe you think that's silly. But, and yes, grown men in particular, no one above the age of, I was going to say 12 or 13, I'll push it to 15, should be scooting around as their main form of transportation. Oh, Katie, the city's so packed and busy. There's bikes. You're not telling me an electric scooter is safer than a bike. There's a subway. There's this crazy thing called your legs, okay? And yes, I mean men, because rarely do I see a woman on an electric scooter. And if I do, that's none of my business. We know my toxic trait is I support women's rights and women's wrongs, okay? I'm curious about a woman on an electric scooter, especially if she's not a tourist, but rarely do I see women on electric scooters. I can probably count on one hand how many times I've seen one. How many times I've seen a man on an electric scooter, the limit does not exist. So when I see a group of men really attaching themselves to something, I'm questioning it. I'm curious about it. I'm wondering, what's going on here? It's not cool. So I guess that's two things I'm screaming about, but really this idea that caring less makes you better or cooler or is the way to go, when I don't know if you've seen what's going on out there, if you've turned on the news, if you've opened a social media platform, even if you're outside of America, it's not good. It's tough. And I'm not saying that in a we've all lost all hope way, but I feel like being chalant now more than ever is the way to go. The only way your life is going to change personally and externally is when you care. Okay? Vulnerability is the way to go. In World War II, I don't think the men were writing love letters back to their wives, girlfriends, whoever they were partnered with, their partner, and being like, well, you know, I don't know if I really miss you. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's just war. What? No, we're not doing that. write the love letter, hold the boombox outside of somebody's window, stand on your soapbox at work, proclaim your message, tear down the man the man being capitalism, patriarchy. Say the thing. Express your soul's truth. This is Leo and Aquarius energy in many ways. So I promise it all ties in. I'm not just ranting and raving, but I cannot stand people who think being nonchalant is cool. It's not. Being chalant is the way to go. Being chalant is in. Being nonchalant is out. And so are electric scooters. I rest my case. Okay. I could talk about this for the whole episode. This idea that being nonchalant is the lamest thing you can do. I don't like to use the term the ick, but when someone's nonchalant, imagine the ick on a person's face. That's what happens to me. And if you're watching this on YouTube, that's how I feel. It grosses me out. Just my feelings, something I'm passionate about, so we're going to scream about it. And whatever your thing is that you can't stand, that people are doing right now, that you need to express, coming out of Cancer season, going into Leo season, all about self-expression, we're going to let it out with a scream, a yell, a sigh, whatever you need it to be. Finding your seat underneath you. Maybe your feet are on the floor. Maybe you're standing. Hopefully a little moment of private, of space just for you. Closing your eyes if that feels good for you, or holding them open with a soft gaze. Just connecting to your breath for a moment. If you're feeling as lit up as I am about this nonchalant topic and the scooters, there's a way to still connect with your breath and not lose that little inkling of a thing you're trying to express, release, let go of. So just noticing your breath, your inhale, your exhale. We'll take 3 deep inhales and exhales. I'll guide us through those. Feel free to take all the time you need. And on the 3rd big exhale, we'll release some sound into your hands, into a pillow, out into the space you're in. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Another deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Final round here. On the exhale, we'll release some sound. I'll be releasing into my hands to spare your eardrums. Take your deepest breath in yet through your nose. Big sigh or sound out through your mouth. Flutter your lips. Maybe give your body a little shake. Maybe the sound activated something in you for a release, letting go, making space. When you're ready, just feeling your feet, your seat beneath you. Gently starting to flutter your eyes open. Coming back into the space. Maybe your energy feels different. Maybe you feel ready to go. I know I popped right off at the top of this episode, but that is kind of Leo season, Leo energy. So Leo season is July 22nd to August 21st. It's a fire sign. It's a fixed modality. It's a fixed property sign. It's ruled by the sun. We have a new moon in Leo on Thursday, July 24th. At 3:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So wherever you are in the world, the time will change, give or take the time difference from where I am, New York City, East Coast. But you can easily look that up and figure out what time it may be. And new moons are all about new beginnings, newness, new expression. And we take the qualities of Leo and we'll work them into that new moon. But in general, the qualities of Leo rules the heart. Leo season as a fixed sign, fixed meaning smack dab in the middle of a season. Fixed signs are Leo and Aquarius, the pair, Taurus and Scorpio, the pair. So Leo is in the heat of the summer. It's a reminder to enjoy the fullness of our days when the days are the longest this time of year, in the summertime, at least in this part of the world, to make the most of our lives, to surround ourselves with the people we love. And after a watery internal Cancer season, Leo's season is also a time that it revives us. It revives our life, love, passions, play. You know, Leo is ruled by the sun, and all the planets in the solar system revolve around the sun. So think of the fullness, the radiance, the brightness of the sun, the passion, the fire. Reminds us to really live from our hearts, our desires, our heart's truth. And Leo is the fifth sign of the zodiac. It's the fifth sign in, when you think Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, we're on the fifth sign. And it traditionally, when you're just looking at a birth chart, a general chart, no one's personal chart in particular, it rules the fifth house in astrology. So Leo itself, being the fifth sign, and the fifth house, they both rule or represent creativity, self-expression, romance, joy. They also, that part of your chart, or Leo energy itself, anything being with this theme of the fifth sign, the fifth house, also rules children, play, leisure. You also might feel, the last episode I did with my Reiki teacher, Carrie, some connection to our solar plexus, if you're thinking about it in terms of chakra energy, could really be connected to Leo energy. So it's our solar plexus, our joy, our special gifts, what lights us up, what makes us us, the gifts we have to share with the world. And when I think of Leo energy, in the spirit of here in America, Love Island, USA has become very big. I know my European friends, you're far beyond us with Love Island, as you are with many things. So please give us patience with catching up to you. You've had hundreds of years of building your civilizations, and we are young and immature. And this Love Island season, there was this woman on the show. I didn't watch it, but I am chronically online, so I know about her, Amaya Papaya. And when I think of, I'm going to give you 2 Leo season quotes, and I'm going to hopefully make all my Love Island fan friends happy. But when I think of Leo season, I saw an Amaya Papaya meme. She said, "If my light is too bright for somebody, wear sunglasses or something." That is Leo energy. Also, just an overarching theme of this Leo season with a Leo new moon, Aquarius full moon, the way they embody this sibling energy. One of my favorite astrologers, writers, Heidi Rose Robbins, said, "If you know who you are, you'll know what to do. It's an act of spiritual virtuosity to become who you are." So Leo season reminds us and is a time to reconnect to what brings us joy, what lights us up. Like I said, that full body yes. It's a reminder that life is meant to be celebrated, and so are you. Leo season wants you to be yourself, the fullness of who you are. When we think about Leo season and the themes of Leo season, so creativity, self-expression, joy, play, there are all these aspects that no matter who we are and our differences, that they light us up when we're able to connect to our joy, whether that's with ourselves or someone we love. Who doesn't want to feel seen, heard through self-expression? Who doesn't want to be loved? Who doesn't want to feel joy? Who doesn't want to tap into their creativity, whatever that is, whether that's painting a picture, whether that's organizing your kitchen, whether that's cooking a meal, whatever makes you feel lit up creatively. I truly think that any act that makes you feel more in alignment with who you are, that's able to get you out of your head into your body and your heart, is your version of creativity. So don't put limitations on what that looks like. And all these aspects of life, creativity, romance, joy, love, play, self-expression, that we crave so deeply, that all of us want. Don't be nonchalant about this. Don't pretend like you don't need one of these things, okay? All of these parts of ourselves require vulnerability and willingness. a willingness to, as my acting teachers used to say, play full out with yourself, to be the fullest version of you, to feel your love, your joy, your expression, your heartbreak, your sadness, your rage fully in a healthy way, not taking it out on other people, always the disclaimer. And this time of year also is a reminder that true vulnerability is usually never without fear. Even when we get really comfortable with being vulnerable, all the work you've made personally with your ability to ask for what you need, to express how you feel, to share your love with someone else. Usually, there's a little bit of fear that bubbles up when it comes time to share, express, lean into that side of ourselves, put our creative expression out into the world, to share our gifts, to play and be silly and messy. And too many of us, myself included, sometimes we confuse the fear with putting a lid on it, to not doing it. But people who are really in alignment with their Leo energy, people who are really in alignment with that power, that radiance, they fully accept that fear can be used as fuel and should be used as fuel to move forward. They know how to coexist with it, and that actually that fear, maybe eventually they consider it a sign that they're on the right track, that they're taking a step towards what they really desire and what they really want. And I often have this theory that anyone with Leo or Libra in the big three are the most beautiful people or celebrities. So some famous Leos, and there's a point here, I promise: Barack Obama, Whitney Houston, Halle Berry, Jennifer Lawrence, Jason Momoa, Charlize Theron, Jennifer Lopez, and Ben Affleck. Can you imagine those two Leos together? Yeah. So when you think about celebrity, right, whether you agree or disagree with celebrity culture, all the shit that goes into that, this idea of celebrity, this taking up space, this being in the spotlight, this having it all out front and center for everyone to see. Sure, celebrity culture can be beautiful and bright and shiny, and it can also be dark. And unfortunately, a lot of their personal information or their personal issues or the things that they're just working on as people is out for full display for the world to see. Maybe they're good at hiding it too, but any one of those people I've mentioned, they've had to express or have their lives picked apart on a public stage, right? And I love Leo energy. I have no Leo placements in my chart. I have no Aquarius placements in my chart. I have no Libra placements with my chart in my chart. That's another episode. I attract Leos and Aquariuses, Libras too, but Leo and Aquarius is like wildfire. Okay. My dad was a Leo. I have and continue to speak to, date, be in a relationship to Leos. Some of my best friends on the planet are Leo moons. Some of my favorite people are Leo moons. And one part of your chart doesn't define you, but the way a Leo can really take up space in who they are, I love and adore so much. Aquarius is too, which I'll get to, but they're so open and raw and playful and creative and powerful, and that's so attractive to so many of us. And we all in some way admire those qualities. And of course, with the light comes the dark. And the darker tones of Leo energy might be self-centered, self-obsessed, a God complex, which is truly the Leo-Aquarius balance for both. And we'll get into that. The need to always be right. This need to perform. And I'm a performer. I love it. I can put on a show. So can my favorite Leos. And there's a difference between, performing for play and creativity and self-expression and fun and, performing to be loved and performing to be validated and performing to stay in the good graces of others, to stay in the spotlight, to stay as the center. And a beautiful, balanced Leo knows that as much as they desire to be loved and to be the center, they equally desire to love and let others be at the center. That unconditional love for self is only as powerful as the unconditional love you have for other people, which is where this Leo and Aquarius balance comes into as well. But truly being in your Leo energy, aside from that ability to equally give and receive unconditional love, is knowing that the only approval you need is your own. And I think a powerful question for any part of Leo Aquarius energy is to always be asking yourself, if you have prominent Leo or Aquarius placements or both. A lot of my favorite people have both. Forget it. I love those people. You know who you are. And a really powerful question during any Leo season, and especially if you have these parts in your chart prominently, these placements, is it my intuition or is it my ego? Because that ego, I say this almost at every class, ego is a beautiful thing. The brain is a beautiful thing. Ego keeps us responsible, reliable, understanding in a healthy way of our self-worth, but when we don't check it, that ego can be loud and brass and uncomfortable and undesirable in a lot of ways. So, we talk about light and dark. So my Leos whose ruffles or feathers are getting a little ruffled, we love you. We love when you are at the center. We need you at the center. And being aware of the places where you have centered too much, where it's just out of balance. No one is free from needing balance, myself included. So take that as you will. And the most beautiful part of you is the way you lead with your heart, with your creativity, with your expression. So when you keep focusing on that and you focus on those parts of yourself and less about the ego bit of you, everything will be in alignment. And a new moon ritual for this Leo new moon is some intention setting and starting with some questions. What brings your heart joy? Who would you be if you let yourself free from expectation, free from timelines, free from who you think you should be? If you could be exactly who you wanted to be, who would that person be? How can you lead or let vulnerability lead you more in your life? Maybe there's a relationship. Maybe there's a situation on your mind right now where you could lead with vulnerability, not from aggression of, this is how you make me feel, but this is how I'm feeling and I want to share it with you because I care for you and I love you and it feels important to share in this way. And the intention setting practice can come from answering these questions around who you really want to be in your life when you think of really expressing yourself, really leaning into your joy and your vulnerability and your willingness to play full out with yourself, if that was the theme, right? To really play full out with yourself and maybe taking it one step further and doing something that makes you feel really vulnerable. Top of mind for me, because this is something I struggle with, is expressing to someone how I feel about them. Because there's that Leo darkness, that tone where we're afraid to be rejected. We all have our own version of that. So whether that's being vulnerable with your words, with telling someone how you feel about them, being vulnerable with your actions, putting yourself out there, making a new friend, starting a new creative project and releasing it out into the world, maybe that's what you do. Okay, Leo energy. We love it. We need it. Keeps us alive and expressive and going, and its sibling sign, Aquarius. So Aquarius is an air sign, yes. Someone here is going to say, I thought it was a water sign. And look it up. Go ahead. Google it. And come back. And that maybe you have a prominent Leo placement in your chart or Aquarius placement that you're questioning me. I promise you it is an air sign. Yes, the symbol is water bearer. It is an air sign. It is fixed. It is ruled by the planet Saturn, which we talked about in the last solo episode. Capricorn's also ruled by Saturn, so karmic life lessons, boundaries. And the full moon this season will be on Saturday, August 9th at 3:55 a.m. I also love my Aquarians. I attract them like wildfire as well in all aspects of life. Friendship, dating, community. My best friend from childhood, Aquarius sun. My two best friends from high school, Aquarius suns. You know who you are. Faith and Allie. One of my best girlfriends from college, Shelby, Aquarius sun. And I continue. I go through these patterns. This is why I love astrology. It's so interesting. These parts of my chart are empty, right? And arguably you would think, oh, well, those parts of my life will be less full. Whew. I took that assignment and I said, oh, really? Less full? I'm going to fill these areas of my life up with Aquariuses, with Leos, and with Libras. Those are the three parts of my chart, 3 houses that are empty for me in my personal birth chart. I'm going to fill my life up with these people so they teach me what I lack. They fill me up with what I don't naturally have. So thank you to my Aquariuses and my Leos and my Libras, but we'll get to you in a two or so months. So Aquarius is the visionary, the humanitarian, the rebel, and the builder. I like to call Aquariuses or Aquarians my aliens. And if you know an Aquarius well, this will ring true for you. Or if you know or have a prominent Aquarius placement in your chart, I'm sure you feel a little connected and outside of yourself and others. And Aquarius is such a deep sign, and I will also die on this hill. People that say Aquarians or people with prominent Aquarius placements are insensitive. Listen, if that's you, you also know who you are. If that's you, I can think of a few people, I won't put you on blast. You're kidding. You're joking me. That's a nice facade you're hiding under. Because Aquarians are fixed signs. Leo and Aquarius are fixed. Scorpio and Taurus are also fixed. So you're in this pack of 4, and you're telling me that people who are in a group with Scorpio and Taurus are not sensitive? Please. A different kind of sensitivity, you express it differently because you're a different element, air, headier, living a little bit above the earth plane, but you are deeply sensitive. You just show it in a different way. And that is what makes Aquarians so complex in a beautiful way. They are responsible for our collective consciousness, and they also, at the same time, rule individuality. Aquarius is the 11th sign, and in a traditional, not in a general birth chart, if we were just looking at a chart and where things live without being personalized to you, the 11th house is also ruled by Aquarius. So it shares these same qualities, which is representing community, friendship, networking, humanitarianism, and hopes and dreams. And some famous Aquarians, Franklin Roosevelt, Thomas Edison, Galileo, Bob Marley, Michael Jordan. Okay? So when we think about people who were very deeply individual in who they are as a person, and, you know, when I bring these celebrities and people up, I'm not saying they just do good things. I saw that Last Dance documentary with Michael Jordan as an executive producer. Okay? Justice for my man, Scottie Pippen. But we think about these people. We hear these names, and I say these names just to help you get a little better of an idea of how they broke the mold not for themselves, but for collectively as well, how they redefined government or innovation or theory or music or sports. They left their community different than how they found it. They left the collective different than how they found it. And that is what Aquarius is and does. Aquarius builds off of Leo, that self, that deep understanding and love and appreciation for self, and then eventually love and appreciation for other, so that they can build it out to the collective consciousness and really focus on the macro. Aquarius is our ability to stand in what is right and true for us, even when everyone else is saying the opposite. It's this complex balance, like I said earlier, of individuality and collective consciousness. And it makes Aquarius unique and sometimes this challenging decoding process. But it really helps us. The best way I can describe it is when you bring a group of people together and they come together for a shared desire, a shared goal, and then within that group, they each find their individual place of who they are and how they show up and how they contribute. And what I love about Aquarius and Aquarius energy is they have the ability to bring people together for the right reasons when they're in their light, for the good of all people. And one step further, they're not willing to rebuild, to tear the structure down if it becomes corrupt, if it becomes out of alignment. They're not afraid to call out where you need to start over, start from scratch, rebuild. And they're not afraid when they're in their highest alignment to do that with themselves, to be honest about where they're out of alignment, where they've lost the plot, where they need to start over to begin again from a more informed, more inclusive, more realized place. Again, visionary. Visionaries aren't afraid to start over to do what is right, to envision a greater good, especially when that means getting uncomfortable and having to, take what we knew and reimagine it. My love letter to Aquarius energy as well. And of course, the darker tones of Aquarius exist, like they do anything, and that is detachment and avoidance. Now, I think a gift of Aquarius energy is healthy detachment. When you're able to be chalant about the thing you want, like, I really desire this. I want to have this friendship, this partnership, this job. I want to make this change in my life. I want to have this thing. I want to build and grow this community. And you can take your ego out of it, the healthy detachment that it has to be your way, that it has to be you're the only one that's right, that you have to be in charge, that it has to happen how you thought it would. Healthy detachment, I want this thing and I will be okay if it doesn't happen how I imagined it, as long as it unfolds and takes me closer to the truth of what we all need. They get a bad rep for being insensitive. And like I said, I will die on the hill. They are one of the most sensitive signs. And you see true Aquarius alignment when they're able to care and express and contribute without taking it overly personally, without detaching in a way that becomes avoidance. We all do it. We avoid the thing. We pretend we're nonchalant, right? And there's a difference between healthy detachment and still coming from a place of empathy and understanding. And there's a difference between being unaffected and being in your ego. And the tricky, darker tone of Leo Aquarius energy in general, both the siblings, is the God complex. It's when you start to think you're better than other people, when you start to think that your way is the only way. And there's a difference between questioning out of curiosity, which is very Aquarius, deeply curious beings, so friggin' smart. Some of the smartest people I know, the biggest brains. I love their brains. I could talk to Aquarius all day. I could fantasize, imagine, develop with an Aquarius all day. But the darker tone of Leo and Aquarius is when you are in a fear of being rejected, in a need to be validated by others. So you perform, you make yourself the center, you stay in the ego part of you because your fear of being rejected and your fear of really being seen and being vulnerable. And Aquarius is when you avoid and detach and act unaffected by everything because you're afraid of the same things as well. You're afraid of having to be held responsible for yourself and others. And when you're out of alignment in Aquarius energy, it's really when you start blaming other people for the things in your life that you truly could change for yourself. And you can get really honest about yourself with where that is. But I feel like another quote that can really tap into these fears of vulnerability or rejection or being an outsider in Leo Aquarius dynamic, this ego God complex, this is it my intuition or is it my ego, is a quote from Terry Cole. I love her. She is a therapist. She has an amazing podcast, a lot of great stuff on social media. But this idea that if you do not let the people in your life authentically know you, they will never be able to authentically love you. And Leo and Aquarius desire that more than anything, to be really seen fully in who they are and accepted. They yearn to have that, Leo, and they yearn to give it, Aquarius. And, another way Aquarius energy can get a little out of alignment is when you're so focused on everyone else but yourself. Again, not taking responsibility for your own life. So, a full moon ritual for Aquarius. A full moon is all about releasing, letting go. You can ask yourself these questions. What do I need to shed to find my truth? A belief, a relationship, a habit, a way of being. What do I need to shed to find my truth? What beliefs are not mine, but were taught to me and I've adopted as my own? I think Pluto's in Aquarius right now and is going to be for the next 20 years. So I think we're all seeing how that's coming up in the collective. Pluto is an outer planet. It only changes every 18 to 20 years. So we're all, community-wise, Aquarius, affected by that. And we're all being asked to come up against these parts of ourselves that we were taught not given the sovereignty to create for ourselves. Beliefs, habits, thoughts. Just start to get really curious about, is this my thought? Is this my feeling? Or was this taught to me? Was this projected onto me? What feels like you? Bringing in some of that Leo new moon energy. What really feels like you, your individuality? And what do you want to share with the world from that part of you, that version of you? What do you want to share with the world in order to make it a better place? And that sounds maybe so like world peace, but that's what Aquarius really wants in this macro highbrow utopia version, like everyone coming together for the greater good. And a full moon, just part of this full moon ritual in general, is about really taking responsibility for your life. An actionable release would be, what is one thought, habit, task that you can completely release this full moon, that you've been putting off, that you've discovered is not yours, that is getting in the way of how you really want to express and create and show up and be in community in the world. Or maybe it's something that you need to do in order to release this idea that anyone else but you is responsible for creating the life that you want. Taking responsibility and accountability for our life is a scary thing. As a Sag, heavy mutable being, I run from that shit myself. So, the fear sometimes behind Aquarius energy is that, like, when we get out of alignment, we start blaming other people for the things, like I just said a few minutes ago, the things in our life that we could change, that we have responsibility and accountability for. Maybe this full moon, in addition to releasing that one thought, habit, task, relationship, way of being that is no longer serving you, you do the thing you've been putting off that's keeping you from taking responsibility for your life. And it could be boring. It could be paying that bill, creating that budget, creating that structure. But Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. Saturn thrives off structure, off discipline, off lessons. So don't be afraid to tap into the planet that rules that sign as well. And really just closing us out with the Leo and Aquarius talk here. The general themes of a Leo season and an Aquarius season, but in particular this Leo season we're jumping into is all about accepting ourselves and others fully and completely. That is the highest vibration of Leo energy. That is the highest vibration of Aquarius energy. Our ability to celebrate both ourselves and others fully and completely, and our ability to truly love ourselves and others unconditionally. Not even in spite of, but because of our differences. And if you want to go even deeper, if you know your birth chart, and if you don't and you need some help looking that up, I'll include in the show notes where you can look that up, or DM me for some further guidance. Look at your rising sign and look at what houses Leo and Aquarius sit in. So in your birth chart, it's like a pie, and there's 12 parts of this circle. I'm a Gemini rising, so Leo is my third house because Gemini is my first, Cancer is my second, Leo is my third. And whatever your rising sign is, that is the order that the houses go in. So you can look that up too. Now, we're not done just yet. There's one little extra part of this Leo season that is making it so potent. There are a lot of planets in retrograde. And I know we hear a lot about Mercury in retrograde because Mercury retrograde happens most often. Mercury changes signs every 6 to 8 weeks. So it happens roughly 3 times a year. And this year, all of our Mercury retrogrades, Mercury is the planet of communication, transportation, travel, technology, are happening in the fire signs. So there'll be another round November, December in Sagittarius season, my season. Yay. But retrograde in general it gives the illusion that a planet is moving backwards. Years and years and years ago, when they were studying the skies, and they figured this out, they thought the planets were moving backwards, but really they're moving twice as fast. And right now we have Saturn retrograde in Aries. We have Neptune retrograde in Aries. We have Mercury just about to be retrograde in Leo. We also have Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. And not retrograde, but equally as powerful and mixing things up here, Uranus just moved into Gemini for the first time in 84 years. So the reason, and I've said this before, why 2025 feels like such a tall order is because we are dealing with all these outer planets that usually change every 7, every 14, every 20, every, 22 years are all changing this year. And I don't want to go too deep into each of these because this is a lot of information, but I want you to know you're not crazy. 2025 is a lot, number one. We're all feeling it. Wherever you are, whatever country you're in. Number two, retrogrades are not meant to be feared. They're a time for learning lessons, slowing down, dotting your I's, crossing your T's, review. Retrogrades are review, reset, rest. And we're getting hit hard with all of these things happening at once. But, Pluto retrograde happens every year because it changes every 20 or so years. So some of these outer planets are retrograde half of the year, like Pluto. So we don't always feel them, but because they're all happening at the same time, we're just really feeling it even more. Saturn is the planet of life lessons. So when it's in retrograde, there could be challenges around responsibility, structure. Neptune is the planet of illusion. So there could be a lot of wake-up calls, a lot of the curtain, behind the curtain being pulled back coming up. Mercury retrograde, which is maybe we feel more prominently because we experience it happening more, this Mercury retrograde in Leo. It's a reminder to, if you can foresee travel mishaps, saying the wrong things, planning in advance, don't wait till the last minute, don't take yourself too seriously. This isn't a time to be in fear. It's a time to remind yourself when these moments come up, when the travel mishap happens, when the challenge around responsibility comes up in the Saturn retrograde, when the illusion is falling apart in Neptune retrograde. It's just a time to remind yourself that change isn't something to be feared. It's an integral part of life. It's something that no matter how hard we fight it, it is going to happen. So it's helpful to know when these things are happening so we're not hitting our head against the wall the way I often do. And then I'm like, oh, it's a full moon. Oh, it's a retrograde. So Leo retrograde we're sitting in. Don't take yourself too seriously. Reset, revise, rest when and if you can. And if you're interested in educating yourself more, as always, there are so many amazing astrologers who post about this on Instagram. I'll include them in the show notes. My go-tos always when I'm looking to digest, understand this information. So again, this Leo season, this Leo new moon, Aquarius full moon, how can you focus on love for self and others, celebrating yourself and others, expression, creativity, play, community, friendship, and checking yourself when you think everything's about you. When, one of my favorite ideas is the thing you desire most, love, stability, creativity, support, the thing you desire most from other people, you have to be willing to give it to yourself first. And I may have said that in an episode already, so forgive me, but I think it is so true and it's a lesson I'm really learning. So this Leo season, this Leo new moon, Aquarius full moon, how can you tap into all those aspects of self, playful out with yourself, put your attention on the other person, all of my acting principles are coming up here, and allow life to be rich and beautiful and vulnerable and everything it's meant to be. I'm going to end it there, but thank you for listening. Check out the show notes if you're curious for some more of that information. I so appreciate you for tuning in. Remember, being nonchalant is lame as fuck. You don't win an award for it. You're not going to get to the end of your life and think, wow, I'm so glad I pretended I didn't care about that person. Or I'm so glad I was nonchalant. Or what did Donald Glover recently say? I saw a quote from him, no one's going to get to the end of their life and think, wow, I'm so glad I wasn't cringe. So maybe be a little bit more cringe, a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more open, and see how all the things you desire will start making their way to you. Thank you for listening. In the spirit of Leo Aquarius season, I love you. I love my Leos, my Aquarius aliens, some of my favorite people on the planet. Thank you for your energy. I hope you found this episode supportive. I'll be back next time with another guest interview, and I can't wait to breathe in, scream out with you again.